This is a fine point Sharpie pen that I'm using on the outside of this light green watercolor. And I'm doing the spots that are pretty much dry. And this is like a border, like a boundary. I feel like when it comes to earth energy, when it comes to growth, when it comes to money, when it comes to green, there has to be a sufficient boundary that people are made aware of to not cross, just based off of the way the earth energy can carry itself. Where you don't want to fuck up in certain areas. Like, you don't want to do things to fuck up your money. You don't want to do things to fuck up your career. Like, you don't want to do things that like fuck up your status and stuff like that. Like, you don't want to lose money or something. Like, you want to make sure that you're like sufficient in certain areas. So in certain areas that I'm like drawing right now, I'm realizing that it might be wet and the marker is not really able to go through it. I like to practice and see what limits like in what ways can I just like utilize what I have and grow, like in terms of artistry and things like that. So I'm just practicing now, talking through my painting, talking through my art, which is not something I normally do. I usually just draw and paint whatever it is, and then I'll think and look back on it later. And right now I'm just kind of challenging myself to, just see and look at what it is I'm doing as I'm doing it. So this area that I'm working on right now, this right here might look from in the camera like a bunch of scribbles, which it is, or it might look like, like bushes or just light things. I'm gonna try to lift it up a little bit. So this is just like faces and phases and things that people can go through when they're experiencing growth and connection and passionate connection, communication. Like, when you connect with somebody, when you want to build a relationship, build on relating, you want there to be growth. Sometimes it's growth of income, sometimes it's growth in spaces, sometimes it's, growing and building on just different things and stuff like that. So it's kind of what this is like representing so far. And so the next color I want to use is red. And I also have yellow right here, this yellow Sharpie that I'm going to be using soon too. But right now I want to put some red on like the outline of this red right here. And one thing too that I love about the art that I do is that there's no such thing as like messing up. It's like you just improvise from that point of whatever it is, whatever direction you might go that you might not have expected to go through. It's like you just learn that route, you just learn that wave, you just learn that routine, you just learn that pattern, you just learn how to see whatever mistake that you did in just like a way, just like another way. But I also want to use this red to go in between some of these greens, and I'm just gonna like scribble in places that I think looks good, or I just like the way it feels. I got a bunch of red. So red and green is like passionate growth. You know, passionate green, like when you're passionate about the money you're making. And also this reminds me too of like some of like the goals that, like the adjustment and goals that I've done recently, where like for like the job I was working, that I am still working, is basically set up like I have the possibility of doing like full time, and I have been like working a lot there, even though orientation just ended. It's just been like a full time schedule, and I just realized that it's cool, you know, the money is cool and everything, but I don't need to spend as much time there, and I want to prioritize other things outside of there, like talking about my experience there, earning the money and learning whatever I learn about myself and growing in those ways is cool. You know, it's cool. I just believe that it's important for me to prioritize in other areas and travel, especially on the specific days where, you know, I know that I would rather be other places, you know. I just want to make sure that the schedule and everything I'm doing is directly related to my growth and creativity. So I have yellow right here. Through my growth and like my creativity, like whatever environment I'm around, I feel like I can find a way to be inspired by it. And so I recently found out about this this place that one of my coworkers was telling me about, and the place is located in Old San Juan, a place that I have not been yet, you know. And so I'm like, that's a good opportunity for me to get into a routine in a place that I haven't necessarily been yet, and also just some other perks that come with it, you know, where it's like, yeah, just some perks. I don't want to get into too much detail, but I'm just grateful of like I've like this recent job, like the one I was talking about before, is like the first one where it's like real paperwork, like you really in the system, and it's really like, you know, versus previous jobs where, you know, I can just get hired right away and you get paid like cash and it's just right then and stuff like that. And so I'm gonna just say like the San Juan opportunity is basically like that, where I don't have to be so much in like these different systems and things like that, and I just want to be very strategic about the things that I have going on. And also traveling is important to me and stuff, and just also expanding my communication. And this is now when I'm gonna start to do this yellow right here, because I know for me personally, when it comes to me building and expanding my level of communication, I'm very happy and fulfilled with that. I'm grateful of being able to express myself in multiple languages and want to continue to expand in those ways. And that broadens your horizons, that broadens opportunities, that broadens your connection and your ability to grow, and, you know, all of those things, I feel like. And so, you know, I always feel happy when I'm able to like expand and build my level of like communication. And so I feel like me being passionate about that can grow, like as far as finances and stuff, and not just to have money or just to save or like, you know, these different things, but just like certain personal goals and certain things that, you know, I'm working on, that's like for me to be able to do more of like what I'm doing now, you know. And I feel like what I'm doing now is very unique and it's beautiful, and I'm grateful to have this experience. Like, I'm grateful to have a pen to use right now. I'm grateful to have a book that I can use. I'm grateful to have different kinds of paint and water and paintbrushes and things like that, because, you know, people go through things, and like, you know, me being an artist, me being a painter and stuff like that, there was times where, you know, I didn't put myself in a situation where I didn't even have access to pens, paper, or anything like that. And so whenever, like, you know, I did have an opportunity to like experience a pen or something like that, like I would just really appreciate it. So I've just learned to really appreciate different things in my life, and the more I'm grateful, the more I'm appreciative, the more I'm able to be satisfied and inspired by my surroundings, the more like opportunities and things come my way that I didn't even expect for things to work out the way that they have throughout my life. And so I'm just very, very grateful. And you know, I'm gonna finish up this painting with whatever much storage I have left until it cuts off. And then my next video will probably be about me just being at work. You know, I'm trying to adjust my phone right now. But yeah, I kind of laughed because I'm just like, as soon as I mention work, you know what I'm saying? Because like, otherwise, like, I would probably be up all night, you know? And I would just continue to do whatever until whenever, and not give a fuck about the time. And I feel like that's more of like me. But I'm learning to just like adjust in certain ways. So this is acrylic and blue white, and this right here is watercolor white. And so I'm just gonna mix up these different ones. I just wanna see, just wanna experiment a little bit. And then I'm gonna take some of this blue. This is the watercolor blue. And I'm just gonna mix it up with this and see, you know, what kind of result we get. And also, alright, so this is like, I'm gonna put this right there. And I'm gonna use this other paintbrush to add some water around, just so it can have more space to travel. And, you know, just experiment and just move around and just, you know, just travel with the paint and let it do what it do. It's lots of blue. I'm talking a lot of communication. Sun's in Aquarius, you know, communication, things like that. And yeah, so this is like chunky right here. Acrylic was actually the first kind of paint I remember like using and stuff, and I started to use watercolor later. I don't have necessarily a preference between the two. I mean, I kind of do. I just like being able to use them both at the same time, basically. Because I like what watercolor does. And I like, so basically I'm getting these like, let's see if it'll focus. I don't know if it knows how to focus, but basically, ooh, malfunction, and it's gonna be alright. Okay, so basically the design that I get from this area, I like to put in different places throughout. And yeah, like this is just basically like my technique in a way. This is how I kind of do my art. And I just wanted to, you know, show the process, you know. And, you know, this has a lot of emphasis in blues and stuff like that. I'm gonna, like, let this dry. And then I will probably just use more markers around it when it dries. And soon I'll have like the actual paint markers and stuff, because I try to use my Sharpies like they're paint markers, but I see how it can get limited in certain places, but it's also inspiring and improvising and seeing what I can do with what I have, and it's kind of preparing me for, you know, the things I'm like looking for and wanting to experience when it comes to different kinds of arts and paints. Like I haven't used paint markers before, but I've always imagined how amazing that experience probably is, you know, because I really enjoy using regular markers and stuff. And so like a really, really fine point paint pen is like my dream. Like all of the colors, you know, and just experimenting with that. And watercolor markers and shit too. Like I heard that was a thing, you know. So, you know, I'm grateful for the job I have right now because I am able to get art supplies and things like that. And, you know, I'm able to just explore in different other ways and stuff like that. And I'm just very, very grateful. I'm grateful for everything I have going on. I'm grateful for everything I've been able to experience up until this point. And I just have a lot to be grateful for. Like, I have a lot to be grateful for. And I'm just learning my lessons and learning different ways to expand through doing art and stuff like that. So, okay, another thing I want to talk about is this notebook that I recently got. This is what I'm using right now. It's a mixed media notebook, sketchbook. And this entire book is dedicated to this project that I am the visual artist for, called The Big House, written and produced and everything by Jam Boom Boom. And so I wanted to use this entire book to just represent and to show just like the areas of life that I experience, you know, and it always has a lot to do with water, a lot to do with emotions, a lot to do with traveling, a lot to do with, you know, all of the things you experience, like, you know, in a house, in different houses, in different areas of life, not just the one fixated house that you might have grew up in, your grandparents' house, like, not just that house, but, you know, the different houses, the different areas of life. And I feel like each page in this book represents, you know, something different, and I have a different pattern, a different routine, a different method to it all. And I feel like it just sums up the goal of this, you know, as I continue to do it. This is actually the first page of this book, but I started drawing the first page from the back page. So I did 2 or 3 pages at the end of this book the other day with crayons and stuff like that. I just got my watercolor from my previous apartment today, and so this is the beginning of the book or whatever. So even that's symbolic. So okay, so basically this is what it's looking like so far. I'm gonna do an update. I'll be doing an update and showing the expansion of this book all together. So right now, just from looking at where it is right now, I plan to do an outline all throughout, you know, and you know, probably put some words on the bottom or something like that. And also, or I was gonna flip the page to the back, but I forgot this was white. But yeah, I meant this was wet. So yeah, this is my progress. This is my progress for today. My painting right before I go to bed, and I probably will add some visual art through the Clip Art Studio Paint app after this, to just further expand this, because I'm an artist that likes to use multiple platforms, multimedia, mixed media platforms, not just like sketchbooks, but also through apps, and you know, just a mixture of everything. So yeah, that's the end.